Okay, okay. All right. I don't think there's too much that I need to talk about because this is the second video. For any of the information that we need to have, please watch the first video. Yeah. So I've done like today's figure drawings already, but I'm still working on the primitive shapes. So I will probably finish these primitive shapes practices for the first half an hour if that's uh, everything's going according to the plan. And then maybe a little bit of figure drawings, and then of course we'll watch some videos afterward. Okay. Let me pull out my reference. Let us log the transparency. And of course, this is a corn. Adding in more values. And the shading. This might be a little bit glossy. Yeah, it is a little bit too glossy. But it's fine. I can stand it. No, actually, no. This is too glossy. I don't like it. Yes, just rush instead. Yes. Now it looks much better. Yep. And also notice this part. This part is cutting reflection from the background. So we need to add in some values in here. Okay, good. Right. More. Okay. All right. And of course, need background. This is really dark. And now that we notice that this part is really dark as well, because it's really not catching any of the okay. So this one is done. Well, maybe there's a little bit of highlight on ground, but it's not that important. Okay, close this one. And we got 3 more to go. Let's check, yep, 3 to go, and we can finish it in about half an hour. It's fine. here. Fill in the color, the middle range. Notice again, here's shadow, reflection, and this is the highlight. So basically what we're going to do is adding the shadow. Let's add in the shadow first. Of course, we want the transparency locked. Then shadow in here. And we got some highlight going on. Reflection. Here's a reflection. And the smoothing. Yep. Again, it's a little bit too glossy, but we can always smooth it further to get rid of the glossiness. Okay. All right. We need to be a little bit darker. So we have a nicer contour on the other side. Yep. Of course, the background. Really dark. Is closer to the cone. And for this one, probably add in some shadows as well. Okay. Not too great, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Corn. And we got 2 more to go. Some of the flat. Also pay attention to curvature. Now this side is a little bit more curved than the other side. And in terms of perspective, we need to compensate for that. So we need to okay. Right, now it's about right. Well, I cannot really get it perfect because we're not machines, but you want to get as close as possible. Actually, yep. A little bit downward. Yeah, I spent some time figuring out this. circle, so been like wasting a little bit of time there. That's fine. And okay, now let's see what we got. Oh, no. Lock the transparency. This part is really what it is. There's not many things I'm going to do about this. So the main part is here to create a little bit more volumes here. Highlight, shadow, this is diffusion, and this is the reflection that caught from the ground, and here is the shadow occlusion. Okay. First of all, I think this is bright enough. What we really need is just, oh man, really don't want to do this, but I think I really don't like this. Yeah. Yeah, now it looks better. Put in the shadows. Set of shadows is here. And of course this part I don't think it is as bright as that part. Put this in. Maybe we can. And again, using the smooth brush, smooth out everything. And of course the smooth brush doesn't really it doesn't always work. So you have to adjust some of the things manually. pointy part. And also the bottom part. You want to fix this part. I noticed that the highlight is also, there's like also some reflections over here. Now we just need the shadows. Okay. This one is done. And one more. Now we got the shape a little bit more complex, but again, it can all be dealt with. Way to think of the bottom like this. and we connect the diagonals to pinpoint where the center is, and draw a vertical across the center. This one is pretty high. Say it's here. I don't know how big that is. Something like this. Because this part is so small, it doesn't need to be that accurate. Connect this part. Connect this part. And lastly, this part. Get rid of all the thing in the middle. Again, fill in the colors. Oh, this. Yep. Now do I have a bright line? Oh man, need to increase opacity here. Now notice like how this part translates the line. Here again, occlusion, shadow. Here is picking up the highlight, but here it blackens again because it's not really picking any of the reflection due to the angle that you have. Okay. Yes. Let's unlock the transparency. And core we have here. And like this. But this part here is brighter, here is darker. I would like to think that, well, why is it not picking up any of the reflections from here? But the thing is that it is tilted, the surface is tilted. So even if it's picking up reflections, it's not directly reflected to your eyes. So instead, I think it's picking more light from the light source from above. So we need to make the bottom a little bit darker. could be a little bit too dark. Could be a little bit too bright. Yep. This is what is good. Okay. And shadows. So it's actually sitting on the ground. And then when it gets closer, it becomes darker. Alright, that is the last practice that we did for primitive shapes. And again, as I mentioned, I've already done this, but I think we still got, I would do 5 more just to illustrate like how I actually do it. Okay, new layer, hide this one, and find a good reference. Actually downloaded a bunch of references already, so just put out a random one that I like. Yeah, I have to like it. I have to like it. Some of the poses are stupid. I don't know. Just want some poses that's a little bit professional. Yeah, this one could work. Let's use this one. Yep. Pin it. I think this model is messing up the poses. I really can't see the other side of the curve, so it seems that it's a little bit too thick. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. And move on this second one here. I don't know why, but I don't like this part. A little bit taller. Yeah. This now is a little bit better. Yeah, now it has a nice curve. It's a nice curve in this pose. It actually makes her looks good. Yep. like it to be a little bit longer. This line. Again, I don't know why, but it needs to be a little bit long, taller. The bigger. This one. Okay, this pose is. To be honest, I really don't like symmetrical poses. Symmetrical poses are the worst. Okay. But if you just have one symmetrical pose, you cannot complain about it. I mean, sometimes you just have to do some symmetrical works. Oh man. I really don't like this. Let's do this one instead. Yeah, this one looks awful. Okay. Not dealing with hands, so it's fine. Also, one thing I don't really like long hair is that it really hides the neck and the most part of your shoulder. Aesthetically, I don't think that is a very good thing, like short hair. How to say that? Sport. Here. Yep. Like this. for this one. Oh. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's a little bit too big. Okay. This one. And last one, this one. Let's do this one. And then we can start watching something. Ugh, this is taking a little bit longer than I expected. This is awkward. Okay. Now I have the space. Ooh, okay. too long. Okay. Now that's better. Suppose it's actually a little bit interesting when it's getting to the leg. And yep. Alright, so this is 5 more for the day. I think these are enough for the purpose of doing a demo. And you guys can do the other 5 on your own if you want. Okay. Oops. Oh. Let me take a 5 minutes break. My back hurts. Alright, I'm back. Okay, now let's watch something. It's entertainment. Evening entertainment. Okay. What do you want to watch? Actually, I already find myself the tutorial that I want to watch, but I mean, everyone probably want his or her type of tutorial. So, not super sure if you want to watch this with me because this can be long a little bit and a little bit too, I don't know how to describe it, classic. It's basically a lesson that actually taught in a art school, so it could be boring, but
We're dealing with last time when we were working with the head, that probably we're not going to quite so much detail, but the idea that the neck seems to be one of the most difficult things for people to do, attaching the neck to the rib cage. And some of the most basic mistakes.
let me find a way that I can both take a note and watch the video at the same time. I think I can actually do this. Let me add another source. Color source, precise media source, display capture. Source, let's capture one. New source. Is that? Yep. Source. Capture cursor. Display 2. Done. Okay. And let me scale this. It's actually really awkward. It's actually really awkward. I don't know how to what would be the best way to place this. We can see how it actually looks. Okay. I guess I can just full screen this. Let me full screen this one. Going here. Actually, go here. Let me go here. Then let's work on this part on the canvas. Oh man. But just a reminder that I'm watching this on the other screen of mine, so there could be some awkward moment when I'm like taking note, for example, on this part without noticing it. You guys understand. Okay.
Being made in that you have to really think the neck as a cylinder. It's a really simple volume. Now, what we don't want to do is this. That's basically a no-no. Because what happens is when you're doing something like this, you're totally flattening out the image. There's actually a series of 3 separate volumes that you have to align that you actually deal with when you're dealing with the neck. But to start with, you can take and first the neck is no larger than the top of the rib cage. Or I should say the top of the rib cage is no larger than the neck. And it's a simple volume. It's really, you think of this as a simple cylindrical type form. And we'll take and break this down a little bit. First, the neck is a cylinder. We start with the idea of the rib cage. Notice that the rib cage is very small at the top. It's not large. We tend to, when we're looking at a model, we tend to get lost looking at all of the shoulders and all of this stuff up here. Really focus first on the rib cage. That's really part of what in the basic class where we're taking and blocking in the simple body to work with the rib cage. So first, the rib cage in profile is slightly tilted forward.
Yeah.
So the neck then is also taking and tilting. When you look at the skeleton, you see that the natural pose for somebody is to take and slightly be leaning forward. So you're getting this natural curvature. You can see the way the vertebrae are taking and getting longer as we come down towards the rib cage. So the seventh cervical vertebrae is really the top of the rib cage and the bottom of the neck. So this is the point in the back that sticks out. So this is a very basic landmark. Okay? So we dealt with this when doing the proportions. So this is a major point that you're looking for. Okay? Also, the back of the neck is high. The front of the neck is low. And so we have an angle that going through here like this. So if you look from the front, you see rib cage into the neck. The neck is a cylinder fitting into this point and within the head, top of that. So this is really the beginning point. Now, when we start dealing with the muscles and stuff in here, you really have to think of the different, all the stuff that goes on here. First, you have your whole trachea, your windpipe and all that stuff going through. And that's really, we have the whole, if you look at the whole neck, it's a fairly thick volume. I can just barely get my hand all the way around all of the bone and stuff here. So when we take and think, that's a cylinder coming through, and it gets wider as we get in the back. This is all going inside now. Now, out in front of this, you have your esophagus. Well, this is another cylinder that's taking and going down through here. So this is a round form. Going up into here. So you've got this volume going up. Now, here's something that is a bone here, is the hyoid bone. And this is, a lot of people don't even realize we have this bone sitting there. So this is sits on top of your esophagus and also on top of the thyroid cartilage and the thyroid glands that are right here. So this is an important point, and this determines essentially I'll get the guy back together here, determines the bottom of the mouth and the top of the neck and front. So this hyoid bone fits over this surface. So I've got basically an upshot here.
It's a different color.
This is going over, then you have thyroid cartilage that sits in here. And then you have the glands that sit alongside that. But this hyoid bone, let's take and make this a little darker here. This is taking and going around the surface here, and it's a horseshoe-shaped bone, like this. And it has two sort of prongs that stick out like this. So this goes around through the surface here. It goes wrapping around your esophagus. Okay. Now, what you have now is a series of muscles that go from there going up, and then you have a series of muscles that are taking and going down. But we're going to deal with the front and the back separately now. Okay. really good thing. So first, if you look at your handout here now, I've taken and broke this all down pretty clearly here. Now, if you say that your millihyoid is a pulls from the center here and goes up underneath the chin, like this on the inside now. And the shape of this muscle is something like that, where it starts down here, it goes up. There's actually a seam in the center. And then the fibers of the muscle are going off like this. This way, pulling up into here like this. Now, and sometimes you can see it. The older, of course, you get too much chicken fat floating around down here. But on a very young person, or somebody fairly athletic and still young, you can actually see the seam. You can actually see the seam, and you can actually see the belly, the two sides of this thing. Okay. Now, underneath here, this bump on the back of the skull. Okay. This is the mastoid process now. This is an important point because so many things attach to it, muscles are attaching to this. This is a major connection that we're taking and working with. Okay. First, then you also have what's called a stelloid process underneath. It's another pointed thing. These become points. Now you have muscles that come from here going down to these horns that are on your hyoid bone there. Okay. So what we see does one is it's really one of the more interesting muscles in the body. It doesn't really affect the drawing. I don't think you actually can see it. But it works really neat. It's a digastric muscle. It's pulling from here, and it goes down, and it has two sections to it. And it goes through, and it's at this point of your hyoid bone, it's like a loop that goes through. So the one part of the belly is up here, and the other part is going up into here. So it works like a pulley. Now, what's interesting here is that this is going, now we're talking about something that's going from here, and literally goes underneath the jaw here, and comes over, attaches to this point here, then it goes back up to the jaw. And so this, you have to keep in mind now that then the jaw itself is out here, so we have really a corner here. This is going underneath that corner. Now, there's actually a lot of other muscles that are going inside and what have you here that we really don't see. It doesn't do much for us for drawing what. Now we have, if you look at this from the front, what we have pulling from the hyoid bone, going down both sides of your esophagus and going around your cartilage here. Now, from here and going, what's important here? Now I'm going to take and draw this as a more of a, do two things, front view and side view. Here we take the chin. Here, the neck comes down. Okay. Here's the hyoid bone. Now I'm drawing this as sort of just a straight here. You have the thyroid cartilage underneath this. You have the esophagus underneath that. Going down, we come to the pit of the neck. Okay, if we look at this in profile, now I'm drawing the angle of the neck going out. Now, the sternum here, this is really thick. It's a pretty thick piece of bone here. Okay, so really this is important to be conscious of this thickness and the fact that your clavicles now are fitting into these sort of notches alongside here. Okay. So now what we get, this comes down, so the point, the bone is giving this thickness here. So what we have, we have the sternal hyoid takes and pulls down along the sides like this. But it goes in the inside of the sternum. So it's pulling from the hyoid bone up here. The thyroid cartilage sticks out. This is coming down along the sides like this, going down onto the inside, this way. So both sides coming down through in here. So these are going in a diagonal, going back this way. Okay. Now, we have another muscle here. The, what do we call this? The omohyoid. Okay, the omohyoid is, takes and pulls from there, from here. Right? This takes and goes underneath and actually attaches to the scapula down the side. So this is coming down, going down through here. So this is another pull. So now we've got muscles that are coming from here. Let's get darker here. Some that are coming from this point, going to the inside of the sternum, pulling down, going through, going to the inside, and the clavicle will be sticking up here, and going back, going around. Okay. Then pulling from here on the side now, this goes down. I'm trying it lightly because I want to add something on top here. This goes down and it goes across and actually attaches to the scapula over in here. So we're going down to down here. This is paralleling the shape of the rib cage now. Okay. So now we've got all of this taking and pulling down through here. Now, the big thing that we actually see though is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. This is the big cylinder muscle that's taking and coming down from behind the ear and coming down and attaching in here. Now, this creates a diagonal line that's pulling from right here. This takes and creates a strong diagonal that's coming down this way. And we come around from both sides, so going through. So if we look at it from the front here, this is pulling across this way. Creates this V shape that we see in the neck here. Now, what's important here is that we had the sternohyoid muscles going to the inside of the sternum, and the sternocleidomastoid goes to the, not necessarily the outside, but sort of where it takes and attaches in here. So it's coming down and going through and attaching in here this way. You know, the clavicle down this point. So we have these two things that now are taking and coming across. One's coming this way, going through in this direction. Now, the point is that you have your clavicle is taking and sitting in here like this. Comes across, turns, and then coming back up this way. Okay. The sternocleidomastoid has a section that attaches to the inside of the clavicle. Now, you don't see this piece here all that much, but this here is a really big muscle now. It's pulling down through here. Now, as we're doing this, you can see we've got these two different directions taking and going here. We've got these things that are going in this way. We've got this stuff that's coming across and going this way. So this essentially is what we call the pit of the neck. Then you've got this hollow that's created right at that point, created by these two things going through here. And if you ever have to have a tracheotomy or something, then that's where you go, right there, in between those muscles at that point in your esophagus. Okay. So you have this change in direction here. And push a little bit of tone through here so we can see this. This is what's going on at that point. Now, there's a whole series of other muscles that take and pull off of your ribs here and go up, and they really sort of take and stabilize the whole neck. In other words, your spinal column, of course, takes and is balancing right off the center. So where you can see where it's coming in right underneath where the ear would be, which is the center that we're working with. So we've got all of this stuff going. Now, what happens here also when we start looking at the shape, from the front, we take and are basically dealing with the rib cage as being a series of simple verticals taking coming down the start. But in profile, since the back of the neck is higher, and we'll talk about these muscles back here in a second, then we have, so the top of the neck in profile is wider than front. And we have this diagonal now that's going across through here this way. The head then going off here. But this is this diagonal that's coming this way. And here, now we've got going down, coming underneath this, going through. Then you also have what's called the levator of the scapula, which is attaching in here. That's taking and attaching at the top of the scapula. So what we're dealing with now is muscles that are attaching to the top rib, attaching to the clavicle, and attaching to the scapula. So this takes and creates another line now that takes and goes up this way. This is the levator of the scapula. So we've got a series of things that are pulling, going up, and so this becomes the base. This is the base now. This becomes the line. So like when you're drawing, when we're drawing here, we really think of this point here coming out and we're going down. So this is the base of the mouth, top of the neck in front. Now let's look at this from the back. Now, from the back, there's three principal muscles that we take and deal with. The only one we actually really see very much of is the trapezius muscle, which takes and pulls out the hair and comes down. And this is the shape that we are always looking at when we're taking and dealing with the back. Let's take and plot this up now. Again, I'm doing this 3/4 view. The big back of the skull here. Okay, this is the semicircle across through here. This is referred to as the nuchal ridge, but this is really this whole flat area here now is a connection thing just for muscles. So they come from the back through here, coming down. We have the mastoid process. We have the spinal column coming down, the jaw comes down here. Going off here. So coming back through here, 7 cervical vertebrae is our landmark that we work with. The rib cage is taking and going forward. And actually, this is a good time to point out now. The next section we'll be going into will be doing the shoulders and all this stuff. But the rib cage curves, has a double curve here. Goes in this way. And then we have the spines that come out here. And this is actually an important part of the whole process here now that we deal with. So as we come through, the rib cage comes down through here. Right here. Now, we said we first visualize this as a simple cylinder. Taking and going up, hyoid bone would be here. This is the cylinder going up, getting into the scapula. Now it's coming across, going off here. Going underneath, going up. Now you have two muscles, or sets of muscles here. The splenius capitis and the semi-splenius capitis. And they're essentially, what they do is they come down and they work down alongside the spinal column. But drawing-wise, what they do is they give us a lot of mass and a lot of the sense of the volume. What you think of the back of the neck. So when you look at these muscles, as they come through the spinal column sticking out here, these are pulling from inside the surface. And they're coming down and attaching along this. So one set takes and deals more with the verticals, the other is more with these horizontal parts that are coming down. So I'm feeling this volume here. But what we look at is this, if you can visualize this now, is that section becomes, you have a groove in the middle for the connecting tissue. You're coming pulls down through here. This nuchal ligament pulls down. There's this hollow that's created. These muscles now are coming through, and what we get then is sort of I'm going to exaggerate this a bit, but you can really see this when you're looking at a child. You feel there's like a corner to it. It's right coming at this point here. It's like a corner coming down, and that semicervical vertebrae is sticking out here. And that nuchal ligament is a large white, it takes and comes down through here. It sort of opens up around this point here. Okay. Now, the trapezius sits on top of that. Now, the trapezius, and this is what we do, it's attaching up here. It comes down. Then as it comes down, as it's pulling down this way, then the fibers start to move out in the direction this way. That the transition from here to coming out this way seems to give people really a lot of difficulties in terms of being able to visualize this. Is also the fact that you've got a fair amount of distance going across here, and that the trapezius goes all the way around and attaches all the way over here, all the way around here, all the way down through here, cuts across, comes from here, and goes all the way back down here. So this is a big thing in the back. And this is really the dominant shape that we can see. So can we look at this? And now I'm going to push the trapezius on top here now. So the trapezius now is sitting on top of the semi-splenius and the splenius capitis. This is pulled from here. And now this really makes us see this, it's like two cylinders coming down. We have a hollow in between. Coming through here. Now, you would have the levator of the scapula that we've already talked about would be inside here. And then here we would be picking up that sternocleidomastoid going down here. So we have this side plane here. Now, if that trapezius comes across, and we're talking about a lot of distance here, if it comes across this way, it takes and starts to be pulling from in this area here, like this. So we get this hollow. We feel that seventh cervical vertebrae sticking out at this point. And the nuchal ligament opens up around, clears out that area around that point. So this is coming forward. This really now becomes like a cylinder making and coming forward here. So you really need to, at this point, be able to see and visualize that you're changing direction from something that's coming down to something that's coming out. And we all experience that when we get tense, this sort of a strong cable feeling coming across the back, top of the shoulders here, coming out this way. Okay, this is your trapezius. And it takes and actually comes all over and attaches through here. You know, this is a surface now. Now, We've got this corner here of the scapula, which is also sticking out. So we're talking now about something that's coming from over here, coming across this way. This bump in here also gives us a little bit of volume in here. The trapezius really comes over this surface now. So, and we've got this front, so the trapezius is coming over, pulling around, and attaching all the way across right here. On the other side, we would be seeing this thing pulling over to that. It then comes down the side of the scapula. And from here, it comes across and goes this way, down through here. So we're getting this pull of this stuff. Yeah. Now, let's say if this shoulder or if this arm of the left arm was pulled back a bit, we would see at this point here, we would see scapula pushing and creating a really a big bulging. Here we feel that compression taking place as that muscle pushes, the scapula pushes back and the muscle contracts. It's a pretty major thing here. Now, when we try to look at this in conjunction with the front, this is really, a lot of people lose sight of the fact that the trapezius comes all the way around over to the front. Let's take it apart. So now, I'm going to draw a slightly down shot. Using sort of the box idea to get started here, visualizing. Center will be neck going down, and rib cage. Now, we're going to go back over a lot of this stuff with you with the shoulders, but you really need not get fixated on the idea that the clavicles and the scapula are creating V-shape going around this, and these sit like a yoke of an oxen or football shoulder pads over the rib cage. So what we see then is this shape that takes and comes out, turns through the scapula going out, going through and attaching out here in the end. And we get this part of the blade sticking up here. And this is coming through at this point. The rib cage is going underneath. So you try to see this clavicle goes around and behind the rib. Scapula is going through. So you're working around this cylinder. And we have the pit of the neck now, this point here. You're getting this volume, we've got the corner right back in. So now that trapezius pulls around and goes this way. It's coming over the surface like this, coming across all the way over here, and pulling from behind. At this point, it's really taking and turning. You feel this pull across, so you really feel this pull of the forearm as it comes around, and then it's taking in, coming back up through here. And it's coming around. We're not so conscious in this, again, repeating this, we're going to go over this a lot. This is an S curve. The tendency is to draw this as a straight line. A lot of times we see it as a straight line just because of the perspective. But you have to consciously think that this turns and turns. And these corners are important. The corners here, this is where your pectoralis major starts up here and going to the arm. All through here is where your deltoid muscle of the arm is attaching. And then the trapezius is attaching exactly on the opposite side. So a lot of times we lose this. All we see is the bump. The scapula is fairly squared off across the back. We've got this bond here. So we're really looking now at something that's getting a corner across here. You see this. Later on, you see the deltoid here, the pectoralis. So now we have this big hollow. This is working around the cylinder of the neck. So now, if we go back at this a little bit, we see that when I started out, I said, don't draw that. Okay. It totally flashes everything out. So it basically destroys your drawing. What you want to keep in mind now is blocking into this. You look at it from front, you see that simple volume, give it a pit of the neck. It's the cylinder. And we're fitting that cylinder into the top. Now, if we go back to our proportions that we talked about, so we have the distance, the brow, center of the eyes, bottom of the nose, top of the head. Remember that this pit of the neck equals the distance, the top of the head, just below the nose, to the pit of the neck. We've got that basic proportion now. Okay. Now, the clavicle, turning, it goes in. And then it turns, it comes out. It's also the same length as that. Scapula is out on the end. Now, if we go through, we have the sternocleidomastoid coming from behind here, coming forward this way. And that's coming to the inside edge of the clavicle. It's still the pit of the neck is you have all of the ones coming out the hyoid one going to the inside. So you have this line here coming forward. Then, possibly you see the levator of the scapula coming down, so that could be a vertical in here. Then you get the trapezius coming out from behind that, coming over, going through here. You end up with a triangular hollow in this corner of the neck. Now, when you take, and if you put your finger in that point, you raise your arm, you find that the clavicle wraps around the neck and pushes the finger up. So the clavicle then really is part of the basic design is, I think, to work around the shape of the neck. So we get it going in, goes in, it turns. It's lifting up. It goes around the neck. You get this taking coming forward. Now, you've got a lot of space across here, big distance through here. This is a real common difficulty that people have with this, is do not give us enough thing. And stated here that this whole thing coming forward really seems to be a point that gives a lot of difficulty. Now let's take a look at that again moving forward. Actually, I want to do several drawings here. Step back a second. And I'm going to do slightly 3/4 here. Neck. Going back in. Cylinder. Rib cage. Down. Clavicle, taking the across, it tends to be horizontal. Men horizontal to up, female horizontal to down. Now, coming around. First, good. Do the pull. You feel the underside of the chin. Go back to the hyoid bone. Back, jaw. This is going in. Now, what we all experience, I'm going to take and give a light direction to this. Because what happens in here is you have, when the light goes through, see the light's coming from the side here, I'll cast a shadow from here, going over the hyoid bone, going down the side, picking up the core. Now, this is a cylinder coming from behind, pulling inside here, options going back and around. This could be taking and picking up a shadow on the inside of that. This is what we see so clearly all the time. Then this would be casting a shadow over the pit of the neck. You would feel tone going up the side here. This would be casting a shadow over the sternocleidomastoid here. And then maybe we would see something over here, but generally we don't. And then all of this now is making really back up. So this becomes sort of the standard view that we see so often in the neck, particularly in folds of these things coming through. Now, the trapezius is coming from behind. Maybe the levator of the scapula here is coming through, forward, forward. You feel it's pulling from behind, forward, and again to here, coming through. So these three lines now are the lines that you look as they take and start to build this way up. Now, it's always twisting. When you turn your head really hard, these cords twist around the corners. So, as we say, we turn the head this way. We have a cylinder. Now, when you turn your head like that, here's the neck here. The sternocleidomastoid will then starts to become a vertical line that's pulling from here to here. And that's, again, this is a very clear thing that you see all the time, just a simple vertical. Now, you have to be careful when you're drawing this now. As you see from here, this would be a straight. Now, you don't want to exaggerate these muscles here. The more lines you start to put in, you start getting every line's another 10 years. Okay, so don't do it. I wonder, no. Okay. Only simple, smooth cylinders. With a little dark tone. That's it, smooth cylinders. But this is a vertical kick. Now, when you're turning this, if the hyoid bone now would be up here, and thyroid cartilage is coming across this, we're turning in that direction. Then these are sternocleidomastoid now it's pulling around the corner. And you really see this is something that's pulling from the upline. You would take and feel the trapezius now, we would actually see the trapezius taking and coming around. And we would start to feel these volumes moving forward. So you have to visualize, you have to learn to visualize all of these things as very clear solids that you're taking and working with all the time. You're pulling, you're turning. The chin will be up underneath here, going through the jaw, and across this way. Now, the part that seems to be difficult is to taking this view and turning it so that your shoulder is coming straight out towards you. So if we look at that now, take remember the neck is wide at the top, narrows as it comes down, with hyoid bone here, thyroid artery. Now, your clavicle, and your scapula are basically aligned with your neck. So when we come through, now remember when we have this is a bond, this is a big space across here. So the scapula is coming across this way. The clavicle, this is where you have to really visualize this now. This section, and I'm going to draw it again, slightly looking down. What you're seeing is this is coming towards you, then it turns, then it comes out this way again. So as it's coming forward, you're thinking of the corner, coming toward you, and then it turns, and then it comes back towards you. This way. The scapula is coming out, this is putting across the uterus. So the squareness that we see where the deltoid attaches draws through here. So now you're coming through and drawing this section coming out, and that's you. You have to really, at this point, realize that you are changing direction. You are really now have to be seeing this as a cylinder. These things are going over, and you have a plane that's going out here where the scapula is. This is coming across, and we feel that very thick section going through. And I'm drawing it like a cylinder. It's coming through, and this is then pulling and pulling around over to this point here. The tension that's created will come through. So we push this tunnel, and the thing goes back around, and generally you start to get some folding taking place. So this whole surface then, working the tone here, we do this is going back. Top of the scapula, then we do the deltoid coming up here, coming around. But it's this cylinder going back, and then we start to pull up into the horns, the levator in here, your semi-splenius, splenius capitis underneath, corner here. From right here, then, is you have your sternocleidomastoid pulling down diagonal. And this is going, all this other stuff now is going in. You have corner of the jaw. Here. This is full. Full coming down, pulling into here. And we have a hollow at this point. This is that section of the cylinder. You see right here. So these are all pulling around this way. We're working over. I'm really emphasizing this because this is the point where we have a lot of difficulties with this. That's going in. It's going in and it's fitting into this section here. We feel the roundness of that pulling through. So when you start out then, the whole point then is you're first doing the gesture. You start out with the idea. Getting the feeling, the feeling of the neck pulling in. You feel that pulling into the rib cage. So this actually, I realized that a lot of times when I'm doing the gesture part of the drawing, I'm not, people are asking me, is the line on the contour, is the line on the outside? It's neither, usually. Not that it can't, no rules. But the idea that the neck, you want to feel the pull. And so a lot of times, even if I'm looking from the front or three-quarter front, I'm actually drawing the spine and back. Drawing the pressure pulling on through the back. And then I'll draw over here and then start doing this. So I'm pretty much drawing anatomy all the time. Even though I'm not getting fussy with constantly anatomy, I'm drawing anatomy, how this stuff works. So as I come through, so here, I'm taking and drawing the pull of the neck. You hit the landmark, talking about proportions now. Hit the landmark. Here I'm feeling the spine, even though the shoulder and all that stuff is out here. I'm feeling the spine, I've carried that idea into the contour of the rib cage, come over the surface, and then start dealing with the volume. So then you're working around, you're literally drawing over, around, through, and then I'm taking and drawing the simple center. Then I'm taking and breaking that down into the wall. And we start to deal with all that. But it's this, right here. And that's the thing you gotta focus on. Now, next class we'll go into all of the stuff that part of the torso cage, we're going into all this. Come back through all of this, and we repeat a certain amount of this stuff. Okay, now putting this stuff to use here, we get the first, just focusing on first, just think of the action, hitting the top of the head, bottom of the head.
All right. I think that is a lot of things to take in just for like 1 day. So that's probably the end of the watching of the video. I mean, we can just like see how many lessons are there. And maybe you guys wonder why I didn't like start with the head, because I really think the problem that most of us have is not about the head, but rather about the body, like how the body parts are assembled in the human anatomy. So that's why I think I will go through the body first. So starting with the neck, then with the shoulder, and the arms, and your torsos, and the pelvis, and then your legs, of course. And after that, that will be your feet. And that will take about like plus in the head, that will be like 13, 12 lessons in total. Yeah, that's about like 12 lessons in total. But the thing is that how many weeks do we have in the winter? About 4 weeks, I guess. So the plan is that I'm going to have like one lesson over the week and one over the weekend. I was streaming twice per week. So that means that we have to cover like 3 lessons per week and 1.5 lessons per streaming. Probably will stream 1 lessons on the weekdays and then 2 on the weekends, because I mean most of us have more times on the weekend to check what's been going on. And in order to actually learn the lessons and to have exercise along with it, just as I mentioned last time, find yourself some good references. For example, let's find some good references. Do, for example, dancing photography, right? The one that we used last time. Like this kind of photos is good. I think that is really good for practicing like detailed anatomies, because you have this like muscle structures. So if you want to practice like certain part of the muscles, then of course you need a good like a photo reference for that, and this kind of image would be a great source. And another thing is that you probably want to start with drawing a male figure instead of like a female figure, because the male figure's muscles is more pronounced, so it's easier to observe the female figure. Like here, this is definitely the deltoid, so you can actually see how the deltoid looks when the character is posing like this. While it is a little bit hard to observe, for example, the deltoid or the tricep, bicep, when you're drawing a female character. So that is basically the end of the watching phase of today. And the last part of the streaming, I think I will be working with some of the drawings of mine, I guess, because I mean I'm working on one drawing specifically for the New Year's and Christmas, and since the deadline is drawing pretty near, I need to get this done. Yeah, I'll just like keep this as also a part of the diary. So in case that I want to revisit some of my actual drawing steps, you don't need to really watch anymore at this point. But if you want to follow along, then definitely you're welcome. Okay, I'm going to dive into this drawing, and I will stop streaming about an hour later because it's already like 9:30 or so, so I'm pretty tired. Just add some clothes, but not really satisfied what I'm adding on her. Find myself some clothing references. Find some good references for clothing. New Year. New Year's clothes. Oh wow. Very boring. Very boring. Really. Let's check if the anime world is giving us a little bit more options. Kind of. I don't know I like it exactly or not, but could be something that you can use as a reference, I guess. Definitely not going to do this, and the pose that I'm having right now is pretty modern, so it's definitely not something like the old traditional Chinese looking. Maybe something more like this, but yeah, something more like this probably. Kind of don't want to go the yukata way. The yukata is again, it doesn't really fit into the posing that I'm having. Kind of cute. Yeah, I'm really horrible at designing clothes. I have to say that I'm a horrible designer. Oh man. Still, yes, we'll see. what we can get. So let me take a break. All right. Hot water really helps me. Kind of want to add some, coloring here. So it's a little bit more warm. It's warmer. And the problem that I'm having right now, I think, is that the head to be moved a little bit to this side. Yep, just a little bit work. Yep, no, I like it better. Okay. Still kind of can do nothing without a reference for this design. I think I could do nothing without a reference. You sad, but no, wrong folder. Why the poses are all the same? This really doesn't make any sense. But I mean, yeah, but I don't. So weird. Why the poses are so freaking all the same? The design is cool. Not really. No, this is a new year. Okay, we got the New Year setting of a VTuber. Oh my god, why I'm checking that? Okay, so interesting. Nah. New Year design. Isn't this kind of cute as well? Interesting. So I originally planned to draw something more Chinesey, but It's actually not that bad. Think about the design, the idea of cutting this. Really create a space between the shorts and the clothes. So really interesting. This design is. Yeah, this kind of design is kind of horrible. I have no idea why this is has nothing here. Or maybe just like the simple like Christmas theme type of like clothes is okay. I mean, it's Christmas anyway. This actually is cute. Let's go with this or this. Let's see how good we can do. Hmm. Actually, could be a little bit. Okay. Okay. Now it makes a little bit more sense. Mm. Hmm. Alright, I think this is about how long I would like to record for this streaming. Okay, so in terms of next time, I think that will be this weekend. We'll watch more uh, anatomy classes and also do more exercises. Maybe have some reviews on the neck structure. That will be my own review on the neck muscle groups. So